My father, Willis Lewis George Parks, was a great father and a farmer. He rented an 80-acre farm in northern Illinois, which Tri-Grove at that time was a farming community. We mainly raised crops, corn, beets, and oats. We also raised pigs, 9 milking cows, chickens for fresh eggs, and he always planted a large garden, enough sweet corn, so that he and all of his sisters could come down and pick until they were done. He was a good father. He always provided for us, my 2 brothers and 1 sister. He taught me how to grind corn for the cows, ride the tractor disking the ground after he plowed the ground, or drag it with a drag in preparation for planting the crops. Mom would always do it during the day, and when I came home from high school, I went out and relieved her on the tractor, and she came in and cooked supper. On Sundays, when we would go for family dinners or outings, Dad would look at me around 4 o'clock and he said, "It's that time," and I didn't have to ask the question what he meant. It was time to go home and milk the cows. Out of my family, I was the only one that was interested and stayed with him on the farm until I enlisted in the service. And then after I was in the service and re-enlisted in my 2nd term, both he and Mom decided it was time to retire, that it was too much for them on the farm. So then they moved to one of these little country towns that if you blink your eyes when you drive through, you miss the town. Both he and Mom were very religious. They drove 21 miles every Sunday for church. And during the summertime, we always went to Bible school. And when it came time, we also went for confirmation school. Mom and Dad were the same as Dale and Jean Allison, the same as Jake and Mary Fleming. They were devoted to each other. They never argued, and when it come to buying things, they always discussed and agreed before spending the money. The same as Jake, Dale, and my dad, they were lost when their wives died. I never liked chickens, and one day in the fall, I was grinding corn, and a rooster, my oldest brother, used to chase me with the rooster. And then, if I went out to the hen house to get the eggs, the chickens all had to come out before I went in to get the eggs. But I flipped an ear of corn at this rooster. The rooster flew from the bottom of the corn crib up to the rafters. I flipped another ear of corn, and the rooster went in the oats pit. That was the last we seen of the rooster. Then Dad all of a sudden come out one day and said, "What happened to the rooster?" I don't know, I haven't seen him. Well, in the spring, we always went up in the oat bins in the crib. There was 4 bins where they put the oats after they combined them. And he went up to sweep them and came back down and says, "I know what happened to that rooster." And he opened the thing where the oats normally drain out, and down comes the rooster. I already covered this part, but when I was in service, my 2nd tour, then they decided to retire from farming. They moved to town, and Dad was devoted the same as Jake and Dale, and taking care of their wives until they died. Jake would sit beside his wife and sat there with that pot of coffee the nursing home would bring him, and he'd make it through the day. My dad would come in one day, and my mom was standing against the counter, and she was crying, and we were shaking like this, and he said, "What's wrong?" "I don't know what to do." And she was trying to make apple pie, I think it was. And he said, "Well, your recipe's there. You got all the ingredients on it." Well, that was the beginning of her having dementia. So he said, "Come on and we'll make the pie together." And after that, he became the best pie maker in the town, because anytime there was an outing at his church where he was going, the women would always come and say, "Willis, are you going to make us some pies today?" But my dad was a good dad. He always provided for us. There's nothing like living on a farm, and when you're hungry, you go up to the garden and pull your vegetables. They butchered pigs. We had homemade sausage. I did the milking. He did the farm, the land work, so we got along fine. There's another Father that I would like to talk briefly about, and that's our Heavenly Father. He's the best Father of them all. He is my provider, my disciplinarian, my security. God is a safe heaven to run to when you feel insecure and afraid. He protected me my 2 tours in Vietnam. God offers protection that no other earthly father can do. He offers me and everyone protection of their soul. He's also personal, and he is always there when you need him. The greatest thing that he is the Father who is available to you and me and will gladly adopt you into his family. He has and always will be there for you and me. Thank you.
And Brother Jim.
Good morning.
Okay.
Happy Father's Day. I'm excited to be here today to celebrate Father's Day with all of you. As I look back over the years recalling what Father's Day has meant to me, my first meaningful memory of my own father is that he was a strict but fair disciplinarian. There was no counting of 1, 2, and 3. You either obeyed or suffered the consequences. This taught me that doing the right thing provided me with rewards, and doing the wrong thing provided me with incentives to do the right thing the next time. My dad was a kind and generous man. He worked at the Allison Transmission Division of General Motors, and every year the union sponsored a Christmas celebration by allowing the members to bring their children in to pick out a Christmas gift. Normally, no guests were allowed. A close friend of mine had recently lost his father, and his mother could barely make enough money to feed the family. Dad invited him to go with us to the party and convinced the union representative to allow him to pick out a gift. I can still see the ear-to-ear grin Bobby had on his face when he walked away with a brand new basketball. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was important to Dad that my brothers and I kept occupied instead of roaming the streets. He installed a pool table in one room of the basement and a ping pong table in another room. By the time we were 8 years of age, he not only had us signed up for baseball, but he was also the coach. In the winter months, we bowled until we discovered basketball. Playing sports taught me the importance of teamwork and of the achievement of goals, all necessary traits to be successful in life. Dad also taught me that there were no free rides in life and that every person is responsible for making his own way. He helped me get a paper route when I was 11 years old and taught me that if I had a job to do, I should do it daily and on a timely basis, unless I was too sick to get out of bed. Which reminds me of the time that I was, in fact, too sick to deliver the papers, and my good friend Joyce Hardy took over and helped me out. Remember that, Joyce? Thanks again for the help. You see, Dad also taught me the value of having good friends, and that at various points in life, it doesn't hurt to have the help of those friends. Now, when the money came flooding in from delivering papers, he took me to the bank and helped me open a savings account. He taught me how to balance the budget and that it was okay to splurge on something that I wanted, just as long as I put a little away for a rainy day. Because of his help and guidance, I was able to pay cash for my first car when I turned 16. Dad also showed me the valuable trait of negotiating to get the best deal possible. It worked so well that 2 years later, I sold the car for 50% more than I paid for it. I still use many of those techniques today, sometimes to the amazement of family members. Right, Mary? Things weren't always rosy with Dad and me. In my mid to late teens, I had the opinion that I was much smarter than my dad, and his advice held little importance. It wasn't until I reached the wise old age of 21 that it became apparent to me that Dad was a lot smarter than I had earlier realized. As each year passed, I cherished more and more the opportunities to converse with my father and learn from his wisdom. When I finally became a father, I discovered that I wasn't the only one who felt this way, and that my sons would go through the experience as well. As I grew older, I chose a mate and got married here at Olive Branch Christian Church. After a few years, I thought to myself, it's time I tried this fatherhood thing. After several years of marriage and 2 miscarriages, we weren't making any positive progress, so we decided to talk with our family physician. Several tests and examinations later, he called us in to tell us that it was unlikely we would ever have children. Of course, that was devastating news. In the years that followed, we discussed different methods of fertilization, adoption, and any other idea that family and friends would offer. Suddenly, after 5 years of marriage and the failure of modern medicine to help us, we became pregnant. A little over 8 months later, a miracle occurred and my oldest son, Matthew, was born. After Matt, we received further challenges, but kept on trying. 7 years later, Matt's brother, Nathan, was born. And the year after that, we were blessed with our daughter, Denise. As a father, I cherished the moments when I came home from work and my children came running to give me hugs and invite me to spend time with them in our recreation room. Yes, I remember the lesson my dad taught me about keeping my children off the streets. Once at a family gathering over at Mom and Dad's, the adults were parked in front of the TV observing the sporting event of the day, when my children grabbed me by hand and announced that they had something that they wanted to show me outside. One of the adults in the room asked me, "Why do you let them drag you around like that?" My reply was, "I brought them into this world. The least I can do is let them show it to me." As I've gotten older, the definition of father seems to keep changing. 20 years ago, this coming August, I met sweet Mary, and along with her came Liz and Matthew. Suddenly, I became a father once again. As all of our children have gotten older and chosen mates, our lives have become further enriched. With a total of 5 children and 8 grandchildren, our lives are seldom boring. So on that note, I again wish everyone a happy Father's Day and hope that all you fathers out there are as pleased with this day as I am. Thank you.